Yes, everybody is here. Smile. हाँ जी, सभी तरह देखना प्लीज. Everybody smile. Yes, good. One more picture.
Okay.
Wait on. Side देखिए तभी. आप फ्लैट रहो थोड़ा सा. Yes, यहाँ पे. सभी तरह देखिए. यहाँ पे सर यहाँ पे देखिए.
Okay, yeah, you're exclusive, but you can be here also. Inexclusive.
सर आप भी ज्वाइन कर लो. अभी इधर देखिए सभी. हाँ सब आ रहे. इधर प्लीज. सब इधर देखेंगे यहाँ पे.
उसके आगे आके तुम सुनीता भाई.
Yes, smile. One more picture. Smile. एक बार शब्द हो करो. हम शो करो तुम. अच्छा लगे ग्रुप में. चलो नॉर्मल. चलिए. क्या बोलेंगे सभी इधर सामने स्माइलिंग फेस. थैंक यू. सर यहाँ पे ओके. सामने थोड़ा सा बैक हो ना बस. इधर
Can I ask Ashok ji to collar the नहीं अशोक जी नहीं. Where is Mahesh ji? नहीं महेश जी नहीं पहनाएंगे. पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाए सब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल गायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
भारत माता की जय.
I now invite Priyanka Vash to recite the four-way test. 1. The four-way test. I request everyone to please repeat after me. Of the things we think, say or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
pictures with the celebrities later. Rajni ji, we'll have the pictures later. Can we proceed with that? Acha. Now the introduction and the pinning of the new members with partners by DG Ashok Kuntu ji. President, can we have you here to pin to call upon the new members?
Recognize him as the director. Is Ashok Verma around here? No, he's not probably. Okay, so we have inducted 7 new members during this year up till now, and one of them was inducted on the day of on the 3rd July itself. So before I honor the members, I would like to, my friend Ashok Verma was in US, and he has been on the board for as director skill development. I did not have the chance to formally recognize his position, which I would like to do today.
Do we have other mic or mic दूसरा भी है? ये इनको दे देते हैं ना, we can speak from there. मैंने कुछ नहीं करा, लेकिन अगर इस पे कुछ रखूंगी तो आएगा ही, हट ही जाएगा ना.
Ashok ji is a great asset to the club, especially to me. He has been looking after the skill center, and now we are adding more skills to the skill center, and he has been going around with me to the various ITIs, meeting the principals, and doing the recruitment and everything. Thank you, Ashok ji. I would like to invite Mr. Ravi Garg. Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Ravi Garg, please. My new members have the honor of getting pinned by District Governor himself. Thank you. Mr. A small brief about Ravi ji. Ravi ji is a stalwart from steel industry. Yeah. Mahesh ji, please come, please join us. Not from steel industry. Okay. Without you, the steel would not work now. Ravi ji is a stalwart from steel industry. He has worked in various steel plants, and as far as I know, he is an MTech from, no, maybe little mix up, chartered accountant, sorry. So, but he has worked, he has had a long inning as in Steel Authority, and he has been introduced by Mr. President-elect Rajiv Ranjan. And Savita ji is the banker and a very good dancer. Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Lalit Maheshwari, please. Lalit ji and Rachna ji. ਕਿੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਰਹੋ ਨਾ ਸਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਸਟੇਜ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਜੰਮ ਹੀ ਗਏ ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ Welcome. Oh. Would you like to say something?
Hello friends, it's nice to be amongst you. I've been a Rotarian, we've been a Rotarian, and now it'll be a pleasure to be with you in this club. I'm in the business of importing capital equipments, and we'll know more of each other as we move ahead.
Welcome, Lalitji. He has been introduced by Mr. VP Jain. Thank you. Yes, sir. Yeah. Ian is a stalwart from steel industry. He is M.Tech from University of Saga, and he has worked in various positions in Steel Authority. And right now he's consulting, right? Yeah. And he is joined by Neeruji, and Acha, yeah, okay. She has been a teacher, and welcome to the fraternity. Thank you. Amitaji. Welcome, Amish. Book, kitab. Welcome, kid. Sorry. Is an expert on legal matters, and he is also consulting right now. He also is from, as while he was a executive director in SAIL, has held various positions in various steel plants. International Coal Ventures Limited also, he headed that organization as the CEO, and he is also director in Mozambique Coal, right? Ex-director Mozambique Coal. Okay. Welcome to the club.
My introduction, I'm giving myself. I did my BSc Physics Honors from Miranda House, and after that I did engineering in electronic and telecommunication, and I worked in MTNL for more than 37 years. Thank you. Thank you.
Friends, the first issue of our club magazine, Rotoport, is out, and I would like DG to unfold the first issue.
Clap, girls. Clap, clap.
This is the Rotoport key. Your copy, sir. Thank you.
Okay, now we come for. Before that, I welcome Mr. Arun Bhutani also. He's the president of Manthan Club, the co-host of today's evening. We welcome you. Our guest speakers, GAURAV Gupta and Mr. AMAN NATH ji, to please come and take their seat. You must be so used to it now. Okay, I'm going to read just 4 lines about each one of them. Mr. Aman Nath is an Indian writer, hotelier, and architectural restorer. Please, he is the co-founder and co-chair of the Nimrana Hotels chain, along with the late Francis Wagner. Mr. Aman Nath is credited for pioneering the heritage hotels movement in India. He has acquired over 25 heritage properties and converted them into heritage hotels after restoration. He has published several illustrated books on Rajasthan and Indian art. His books on history and heritage are, to name a few, Jaipur, The Last Destination, Arts and Crafts of Rajasthan, and
Guys, please
Dome
be quiet
over
at the back.
India.
Sorry, can everyone be quiet? It's just like, sorry.
So this was more effective, right? Dome over India, Rashtrapati Bhavan. Mr. Aman Nath has been conferred the prestigious Légion d'honneur, I hope I pronounced it fine, by French government, the best known and highest civilian award. He is also the recipient of the Condé Nast, is it okay? Lifetime Achievement Award. So here is the man who restored our heritage culture and transformed lesser known architectural ruins and made luxury affordable. So now we come to GAURAV Gupta. GAURAV Gupta needs no introduction. The leading fashion designer with a wide array of recognitions and awards. We consider him an integral part of Southeast. He has imbibed great values from his parents, our very own President Arun Gupta and Banerjee, and has successfully carved a niche for himself in the extremely competitive fashion industry, both in India as well as the world over. Today he would be in conversation with our guest, Shri Aman Nath. Not wishing to stand any longer between you and a cherished guest, I now invite GAURAV to kindly take over. Life is a poetry, and when fashion and heritage meets, it's poetry in motion. Please.
Hi everyone. Good evening. Welcome, Aman. Shri Aman Nath. Okay.
Younger than most people.
Are you fine with the mic?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Mic
I'm
is
okay.
fine. Is everyone able to hear Aman as well? Okay. Hi, it's nice to be back. So, Aman is a very dear friend, and I've known him for many years. I think when I just came back to India is when I knew about him. I think I knew we all have been to Nimrana. I'm sure a lot of you have been to Nimrana, right? So this is the man behind Nimrana. And there have been 25 Nimranas, 27 at a point. And how would you, I want to first ask, who is Aman Nath?
Who's Aman Nath? No, this is the question you ask at the end of your life and you don't get the answer. You say, who am I? Why was I born? What was my purpose? I think these are kind of final philosophical questions. I'm nobody like the rest of us, you know, because anybody in India, we all know that we are nobody because we are born with a very different ego understanding of ourselves. You know, the Brahmand in India वो आपको कारपेट पर बैठाना चाह रहे हाँ तो
maybe we should
इसको नीचे कर सकते हैं अगर कर सकते हैं तो
Are we able to remove it?
No, but no.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Oh, I guess the laptop situation. All sorted? Okay. I'll do this. Okay. You able to figure it out?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
I can
Yeah,
also
that's
see
so much
everybody.
better. Yes. So, okay, yes, you were saying.
I was
it's
saying
about the
anybody who
Brahman.
knows the size of the universe knows that we don't really matter. You know, when you're talking about, 500
a million light years away, etc. So who are we? You know, we are all doing our little karma on this planet, and we shall all disappear. Dust thou art, to dust returnest. So I don't think we should take ourselves so seriously, but our work we must take seriously.
Yes, well, that's why there's so much purpose to your life, and you are definitely an inspiration to me. So what was the whole idea about Neemrana, and when did that journey start?
I think journeys start in the mind, really. So my parents are a family of refugees from Lahore. They were among the 6 million people who came to Delhi without anything and started afresh.
Like my grandparents.
Yes, so I think there'll be many people here. And looking back on this and having studied history, I think the best thing that can happen to somebody is that they get a good kick in their pants and they start life all over again. Because you're sure that decadence doesn't set in, you know. I believe, because we're all Indians, so you'll understand it even faster, you know, in the Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh cycle, which is also very well reasoned. So in a family, in a business family, you're all from business families, there is one Brahma who creates an extraordinary amount of wealth. Then his children actually inherit a problem because they haven't created the wealth, and it's disproportionate with their efforts or their upbringing. So they become Vishnu. They have to preserve that wealth, which can be a problem. And the third generation are then the destroyers, if you want to say, because they become decadent. So this is something you can't fight. This is nature's plan, because nature doesn't want one person to keep going up, 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 you know. Even America, you know, we've always looked after them. We can now see all of us, their downfall, you know, their currency, their people, their
the recession that's coming.
The recession, everything, yeah.
That's such a, that is like, you've taken it to another dimension altogether, but that's a very good reasoning of, I think, how people have money and cycles of things going up and down.
That's how Neemrana started, sorry.
So Neemrana started, yes. How did Neemrana start?
Neemrana started because I was born to refugee parents in Delhi. So my family was, my great-grandfather was the first Indian Sessions judge in the British time. So he was kind of a noble character. He was one of the founders of the Punjab National Bank, of the Dayal Singh College, and so on and so on. And he wrote 5 of the niyams of the Arya Samaj. Now his children he sent to England to study, 8 sons, and then they all already got into the 3rd phase. You know, they all came back and had horses and cars and mistresses. So they started to go wrong, and the partition happened, and everybody was on the road. So those who worked hard, and when you're on the road, you have to work hard, you know. So I think the difference between Punjabis and Rajputs, because I work a lot in Rajasthan, is that the Punjabi lives in the current. He is saying, what is on the plate for me today? And the Rajput is saying, my grandfather had 100 horses, you know, he was this, he was that. So they don't work. Because, you know, Punjab geographically was a place on the map where the Kushans, the Scythians, the Huns, the Greeks, Arabs, Turks, everybody came on that route. So you couldn't be, you know, saying I've got a collection of, what are you called, you know, beetle boxes, or I've got a collection of jewelry which I want to exhibit. You just ate, worked, and enjoyed life because you didn't know when you would have to run and what was the next day. So you were very progressive and you lived in the present. So I was brought up like that, and I think now I look back upon it, I had friends. I went to modern school, and I have my colleague Lalit Maheshwari, who's joined you today. We were in the same class together. So we had a lot of rich people's children also. So in life, you know, as you look back, there were people who used to come in an Impala car in the 50s and 60s. There was 300% duty on the cars. And then they used to hang around outside school and stand near their car and wanted us to notice them. And we had no money because our parents were starting life. So they said, we're going to get a Tonga. So a Tonga used to drop us and pick us, which was great fun. And then many years later, I met a young lady, and she said, you know, we used to think you're a royal because you used to come in a tonga. But it used to cost 25 paisa to come and 25 to go, and he would do his work in Connaught Place. So everything that was different in my life, I've always liked the idea. I think we all have, if you're entrepreneurs, we turn a disadvantage into an advantage. So rather than build complexes and get buried, you know.
So just to explain to everybody in a clear way what Neem Rana is, and the way Aman and I have had many conversations, and I would say, okay, I'm going to this part of the country, and he's like, oh, go to that property of mine, and go to that property of mine and see it. And Neem Rana is basically, imagine all the killas and all the cultures and all the palaces, actually all kind of were getting ruined. And the way he describes it, for example, he would go into a place, there'll be cobwebs, there'll be bats everywhere, etc., etc. And he will resurrect it from the dead and make it into a living palace today. So in fact, tell us something like that. Which like one recent one, or okay, maybe.
No, I'll tell you the first
25.
example.
Yeah.
So Neem Rana Fort Palace, which is midway between Delhi and Jaipur, was an utter ruin. It was built in 1464 by the descendants of the Chauhans, because Prithviraj Chauhan fought a battle. Now, you know, and they make all these glorious histories about him, that he let his enemy go, you know, so many times, and eventually he lost, and his body was taken to Afghanistan, whatever. His descendants fled to Haryana and Rajasthan, and whoever they were, so Neem Rana was the third capital of the Chauhans, which was the most important dynasty of North India, you know, like the Napoleon would be in France. But because they were such great rulers, they never wanted to say, do Ji Hazuri to the British. So first when the Mughals came and everybody came, they kept a low profile, but they would not bend to other people. So the motto of Neem Rana is, Kath Navem Par Rat Navena. Rat is the name of the region. So they said wood actually doesn't bend. You know, if you have a crack in the wall, you put a piece of wood, it holds the crack because it has a character not to bend. But they said wood may bend, but the kingdom will never bend. So these are the kind of thoughts that the Rajputs had. And when the British came, the Alwar family, for example, which were the last of the to become rulers in Rajasthan, were busy doing chamchagiri to the British. You know, they were having champagne breakfast and going for duck shoots and shooting 2,000 birds. But Neem Rana just, you know, was uppish, because they said we are who we are. And every time they were uppish, you know, their lands were cut. So they had lands up till Nabha and Patiala and all this. So they kept clipping them, and they kept becoming smaller. And then, as I said, if you don't work and if you think you're a Raja and you sit on a throne, then you fall. So by the time I saw the ruin of Neem Rana, the Raja had been trying to sell it for 40 years. And it was selling for 1 lakh rupees. So people say, itna sasta mil gaya, but by the time we got it, I think the figure had reached 10 lakhs or something. But
what year was that?
1986.
Okay.
So
1986, 10 lakhs is equivalent to quite a bit now. I don't know.
Not
yes?
so much.
Not so much? But still he got it cheap.
No, log farmhouse kharid rahe the uske. No, it was not cheap, because if he, agar aapko Connaught Place mein 10 rupees ka ek dukaan mil rahi hai, wo 40 saal par rahegi. It's not, the point was
cheap in the sense it's actually, but it was.
No, it wasn't this, it was a ruin. When you
compared to 100 crores today.
Not at all, not at all. I'll show you the picture of it. I'm going to do a short presentation.
Okay, sure.
Then you'll see what a ruin it was.
It was
so for 40 years, if nobody bought it, I haven't stopped meeting industrialists. The Khemkas went to see it. 86.
1986. So imagine, firstly, I think what is really amazing for me always is to understand nobody in the whole country, which is full of such insane history and such insane culture, like the Chauhans, for example. Like nobody here would also not remember the Chauhans. The next generation won't know the Chauhans. My generation does not know about them, for example. But this man has spotted that killer outside, bought it, and turned it around. So it's where everybody else was buying farmhouses. So it's like, it's where the journey started. That very fact for me is
so
the most
people
exciting.
ask you, why did you do it?
Yes.
So I think that there are only two kinds of problem. The only problem India has is the money problem.
Yeah.
Either people have too much of it or too little of it.
That's true.
It's both of. So if you have too little of it, it's a better problem than too much of it. Because when you have too little money, then you know,
Value it.
Yeah, you value it. You shake yourself. You do something. If you're just sitting on such a, if anybody in this room was given $100 trillion today, their first unhappiness will start from that moment.
Exactly,
you know?
for sure.
I mean, everybody's ruined. They're ruined, their children are ruined, their friends are ruined, everybody's ruined.
A lot of my friends are like that, yeah.
No, so I'm talking at some other level, but I mean, you know, everybody's 40, 50, 60, whatever, so they understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. A lot of my clients are also like that, but not all.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then the Neemranification has become a term. What is Neemranification? Is it turning history? Is it reviving places?
So, actually, you know, you can take a ruin, you can restore it, you can live in it, live it up, have parties, and then when you die, it'll also become a ruin, you know, because all architecture which is grander than itself can't be in itself gets ruined. So the term Neemranification has come to signify that you do a place, you do it up, and you make it for the public, not for yourself. And therefore, if 300 people work at Neemrana, it becomes their livelihood. So they have to generate money out of it to pay themselves and for the future generations, because if there's no incentive, then there never will be. Look at the Taj Mahal, for example. You know, I'm a historian. So when it was built by Shah Jahan, he said, "Ab itni badi imarat ko kaise maintain kiya jayega?" So 250 villages of Agra, around Agra, were given to him and given to the property, and they said that that will look after the maintenance. You know, whatever revenue will come from that. But 100 years after that, or 150 years after that, the British were having dance parties on the Taj and they were chipping out the stones. So that was not Neemranification in the sense that, because it did not perpetuate itself just financially, but nobody had a vested interest in maintaining it. That's what it means.
I think what is amazing is when I've visited some of the Neemranas with Aman, it's like the local villages around Neemrana, they all work at Neemrana. So they and their livelihood, they train to become the cooks or the hotel managers and
yeah, it's first
everything.
theirs. You come afterwards, actually.
Exactly.
So you give them a pride in their heritage, which is our heritage, and then it is also international heritage, because you know the Eiffel Tower also in some sense belonged to us because we are from Earth. So if we bomb it down or whatever better buildings, it's no joy for us, you know.
So
because
for me, I think that's the most sustainable thing, like what you're trying to do with the Skill Development Center, where people are getting jobs and purpose in life. I think that purpose with the Indian heritage and pride in it, I think that is it's a life change. It's a changing story of turning history and turning lifetimes of people and generations which are living around it, which is also a part of Neemranification.
What Mr. Gupta is doing is fantastic, because for 30 years I've been telling the Rajasthan government that I want to do, you know, a skill development place. And you know, we even got land. I'm involved with a trust called Khushi, which is the Kapil Dev Trust. Raised 35 crores for them. We got the land, and the government was asking us for bribes. You know, isko conversion kaise karenge, waise karenge. I said, it's not about us, it's about other people. He got fed up and sold the land and said, let's not do it, you know. So now I'm telling the government that we should do an institute called what is it called? AFBP. So AFBP. So they said, what is AFBP? So I said, it is 8वीं fail, 12वीं pass. You know? So because it has to sound fancy, I studied here, studied there. Because, you know, the majority of people who work in hotels, even the staff here, are not people who've done management training and all this. And they are so clever. You teach them something. People, you know, we get chefs from France and England and America who come and teach our people. So we had a whole delegation from France. They said it's the best chocolate mousse we've ever eaten. I said it's made by that one Yadav boy who came to wash dishes and has risen and become the chef, you know. So Indians are really clever, infinitely clever than the Japanese and all these people who just know how to do, you know. Yeah. But the problem is that we are, each one of us, too smart. So we can never gather and agree, you know. There is a basket of crabs is an example that if you put 10 crabs in a basket, they can never get out. Because the minute one crab tries to get out, somebody will pull its leg down, you know. So rather than join together, so the Rotary is actually, I think, contrary to the example I'm giving, you people get together and you do fabulous things because life is beyond yourself. It's not about yourself.
So, what all projects are you doing these days? What were you doing today?
Oh, today I went to in the morning to the office, you know, the usual things to do. No, my office is unusual because my job is very unusual. I do everything myself, you know. So I had to buy 12 handles for an Almira because we've got all...
Where were you putting that? Yeah. Which of your 25?
In Tijara. Tijara Fort Palace
okay.
is where you should all come if you've been to Nimrana. Tijara is the new madness. And so I bought some old art deco Almiras and their handles were broken. So
where did you get them from?
I got them from Ahmedabad. You know,
okay.
Some Parsi building was knocked down.
Okay.
And
then?
So they've been fitted now, but they have no handles.
Okay, and after that, what did you do after buying the handles?
No, I didn't buy them myself. Okay. I used to go buying them, but now I tell somebody...
I can totally imagine him going to some... some lane inside and buying handles and buying drawers.
Parking is a problem. No, yes. But now it's done on WhatsApp, you know, and somebody can go.
Are you a hoarder?
No, I don't hoard for myself. I mean, I won't hoard handles, but you know, art is another thing.
Yes,
yeah.
Art is another thing. Yeah. Okay, what did you do after that?
After that, I've been writing a book because I also write books, as you were told. I'm writing a book on the National Center for the Performing Arts, which is in Bombay.
So it's the NCPA in Bombay, which is an iconic space where...
It's like our Triveni Kala Sangami 200, you know, because they've got 5 centers, Tata Theatre, Jamshed Bhabha Theatre.
What is the book about?
So the book is about 50 years of what they've done, how they've recorded music, how they've taken, you know, gone to the villages and things that have disappeared. They've done fantastic work. It's the Tatas, the Godrej, the Piramals, the big people who, you know, have enough. So it was time to give, and it's giving in the domain of culture.
So I know Zakir was also telling you that you have to write the book.
Yes.
You just told me. I was like, I remember attending Zakir Hussein's concerts in NCPA, and everybody who's performed at
he's
NCPA,
on the board. Yes.
He's on the board as well. So everyone who's on the board is like, only Aman can write this book. So Aman has, I remember going to Aman's house, and he showed me this book, which I was not allowed to see, which was on the Rashtrapati Bhavan.
Oh.
Which is, so anybody who visits the Rashtrapati Bhavan in this country is given a book about Rashtrapati Bhavan.
No, the heads of state only.
Heads of state.
Yeah.
When the heads of states of other countries, when they visit our country and visit the president gives Aman's book on Rashtrapati Bhavan to the heads of states. So, and Aman has done, and then I was remembering, these are things which I think, you know, if I ask him a question, it'll go into another story, so I'm just saying it myself, that that it is, it has all the nuances. It was a beautiful book, and you know, sometimes when I feel like, okay, I'm missing grandeur buildings in Delhi, etc., we actually take a drive around Rashtrapati Bhavan because how beautiful it is and the architecture of it. And Aman, give us an anecdote from there. Like it's a historical. Tell us a secret that we don't know about Rashtrapati Bhavan.
Oh, there are lots of secrets. Yes.
Is there a secret passage for the president?
No. No, it was not meant to be for the president. It was meant to be for the Governor General. Okay. And when the future King of England came, Edward the 8th or 7th, so he said, oh, now I know how an emperor lives, because Buckingham Palace is a little mouse compared to Rashtrapati Bhavan, you know. So the race actually was between France and England, the colonial wars. So France had Paris because Louis XIV had built this extraordinary avenue which we all know, and there is no street like that in the whole world. So England said that we've colonized half the world, but our little London looks like a pindi, So why we should do something and shake it, So there was a great fire of London, and they said now is our great time to make a central street, but they were never able to do it. So now they thought India is their jewel in the crown forever. So they built their competition with Paris in Delhi, which is that Rajpath and the King's Way and all that. And so in all their correspondence to each other, when I researched, they are saying this is bigger than, the garden is bigger than Versailles. The street is wider than Champs-Élysées, because their competition was not with us, we were their slaves. So everybody has to make a point to this little world, When you make a house, you don't call the Queen of England or the King of England to your house. You call your friends, you make a point to say, I've arrived, or, and then you do this 2-3 times till you realize that you don't really arrive anywhere, Then you start de-arriving, and then you do what you people are doing, Then you say, you know what, I've given my whole house to be an ashram for old people. Then
Hi,
you
sorry, at the back, can you please stop talking? It's very disrespectful. Girls at the back, can you please stop talking? I feel like I'm in school, but it's disturbing us because while we are talking here.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, all answers have no end, but this is ended now.
Yes. Okay. So, okay. So so this is one of the 17 books that you've written.
Yes.
Okay. And I have seen a Sacred Book of India. Was it called?
Sacred India Book? Yeah.
Sacred India Book. And
that's 2 meters in size, yes.
That's 2 meters in size, and it has the most fantastic pictures of India, about Sacred India. What's that book about?
I did that for Dr. Manmohan Singh because I happen to know him, and he said India has now become another place. So when we get visitors, we should give them something. So he gave Obama one book and Sarkozy one book.
Aman gave me one book. Okay. Okay.
No, because
so I'm on the list as well. Okay.
No, but you are a leader in your own respect. So when they got the book, the French ambassador was there when Sarkozy got it, and the American. So I was not there, but I heard it from the French ambassador. He said, wow, we've never seen a book like this in our life. How good for us to hear it, because when we were children, all the books came from abroad. That's and we didn't have a printing, we didn't have a technology. So when I wrote that a book on Jaipur, Christie's chose it to distribute it worldwide. Wow. Because it was such a splendid book. So I think now, we can dress the whole world, we can give them technology, we can do everything. And that is a matter of pride for us.
So that book, which is Sacred Book, it's Sacred Places. Yeah, Sacred Places in India. Yeah, even I. So it's
Sacred
all the
India book.
Sacred India book. It has all the sacred, beautiful places from all over the country, and
all the
pictures,
religions, yes.
And all the research and the curation is done by Aman as well, and he's
text,
written about all these beautiful sacred places.
When you want to give very special gifts to people, you can phone me.
Yes,
and you can have that book.
One of these books is. Yes, you have to have this one of those. But you have to do something. Actually, I should have got it here to show it to you.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, and okay.
I actually brought pictures. I didn't know we had to talk so much. Yeah. I said.
Okay, let's go through some of your pictures.
Yeah.
Then.
So what I thought was that I would show you quickly, because some of you been to some properties, but just to show you the work that goes into it. So there are just before and after pictures.
Yes.
And so if I can do that now.
Yeah, let's see that.
You'll be less bored.
Sorry girls and sorry boys, it's just that when we are talking, it's just, I didn't mean it like that, I'm just sorry. Yeah. They're all the girls in frogs, they're so cute.
Particularly is that everybody wants to build in their own name. मैंने ये मंदिर बनाया, और अपने बाप दादा का मंदिर अगर आप ठीक नहीं करेंगे, तो जब आपके पोते होंगे, तो वो भी आपकी मंदिर को टूटने देंगे और अपने नाम का बनाएंगे. So the because we are a living civilization, everybody says, I want to build in my name. So Western thing is to restore what other people have done because they are more of a dead. So I want to just show you this. Okay, so this is a part of Neemrana because it's quite big, and there are some other views of it. But this is what it was when I got it.
Wow.
So
Where is the rest of it when you got it?
no, the rest wasn't there. The rest was
wasn't there.
built.
So there is a thing I want to ask you. There's something that happens around Aman. Aman famously says that I stand somewhere and things start building around me. Like when I say that I sit somewhere and things start happening around me, like events or designs start happening around me, and Aman cannot stop building. Right?
No, it's not, you know, you have to have shelter wherever you go. I think it's the first thing. Before you make a family, before you do agriculture, you have to sleep somewhere.
Mm.
So I think I have the primal instinct to build, and
So how big was it and how much bigger did you make it?
it was 6 acres, and it's now, it's 18, no,
Eight,
you know, it's
18?
6 acres of built palace, and it's at 14 levels.
Wow.
So it is a madness.
That's
And
fantastic.
when to think that it was not selling for 40 years, and then a book appears saying 100 things you must do before you die, and this comes in it, you know. So it's a joke, because eventually if you want to do something, it happens, you know, is what I'm saying.
Wow.
So there are lots of weddings happening. These are just before and after pictures. They don't really need an explanation. So this all was not on the hill, because it was a fort made. This is 567 years old. So this is Chuna, which is withered away. So it's been restored, and here was a whole rampart which had fallen away, and now we serve tea on the same place where this
Wow.
Satranj is. So it climbs over the hill, on the hill, and is tiered. We also have lifts now, because none of us is growing younger, so there are 2 lifts which bring you to some areas if you can't. This is what I was telling you. That from an utter ruin, which nobody wanted to enter, nobody wanted to buy, the villagers used to go there with a little lota and use it as a loo, you know. So now the Queen of England's niece came and spent her honeymoon, and she said, it's the most beautiful place anywhere in the world. So, you know, I said to her that you're on a honeymoon, so I suppose you like everything. But so this was the kacheri of the court, where the Raja sat on the extreme right. And while others are breaking houses, these are Art Deco things, so we get recuperated materials and erect it here. So each mahal here is different. There are, I think, 75 rooms now. So it's a great place to have weddings in and conferences. And Aravalis are 2 billion years old.
Wow.
So it's fantastic. And in Japan, you take a rock and you look at it, you worship it, you bring it inside, you make a sand garden around it. So here is a room which is called Pashan Mahal, and it's got, you know, the Aravalis inside them. It's wonderful to sleep so close to them. And then there are halls which are dug out of the hill and spaces. So the more space you create, the more people want to come. So we have to stop at some point. This is a restaurant we've done in which, you know, there's 30-foot high rocks of an amazing red color. And this is a big turret we built, it's called Jagmag Mahal, and the idea was that every time a new guest came, you know, we'd put off the lights for 1 second, so everybody would look to see who's come. But it doesn't always happen. And then, so he was called Raja Rajinder Singh, and he did nothing all his life. So he kept selling little parts, a door, a window, a girder, so the whole thing kept falling. And when I met him, and you know, we got along, and the joke is that in my family we are Suds. So the story is that there was Prithviraj Chauhan had 3 brothers. The youngest brother went to fight a war in Ludhiana, which he lost. And then he said, I can't go back and show my face, because in the medieval times you couldn't show your face. So he sent back the people, and some people stayed with him. Then he fell in love with a local girl, and married her. So when a child was born, they said, so will he be called a Chauhan? So he said, no, he can't be called a Chauhan because a Chauhan never loses in battle. They said, but he has to have a name. So he said, this child is my love for this common woman. So this is a Sooth. So the word Sooth was used for the child, which also the ancestors were money lenders. And then, and then they became, like you say, upbranch, to soothe. So Sooths don't always write it. Anand Mahindra, for example, is a Sooth, and there are many, many Sooths. Dosanjh, is my Gotra. And the Prime Minister of Canada was a Dosanjh. There are some Sikhs, there are some Punjabis and
This is his historian gene which comes in, an anthropological and historian.
Yes. So this is a 700-year-old fort called Kesoli, and this is what it was. Just run through it. So where
is this?
Kesoli is 160 kilometers from here. Just now there was a 3-day wedding, and every 2-3 hours one guest would ring. They would say, sir, there's one American, he wants to speak to you. So they kept saying, you're a genius, what have you done? We are going to bring this one, that one. Then you go there, there's nothing, it's just simplicity. When you've got everything, you want nothing. So you've got the sky, you've got, these are fields of mustard, and they have different shades of yellow and green, and people just feel wonderful, So the visitor's book, if you read it, it's full of comments for the people who run it, and for the place. So one day there was a Mrs. Khemka who came from Calcutta, and she wrote in the book quite early. She said, "Kabhi kabhi prithvi par swarg ka ehsas hota hai. Jai Ma Durge, yehi mujhe Nimrana mein hua." Now, that's a very strange kind of compliment, which you will not get if you stay in all these big hotels where people spend 500 crores and all this, because they don't have soul. They erase everything and make it. So this is the Darbar Hall, which had a very dusty floor. So I designed a dari floor for it. So the dari.
These floors I'm always interested in, because they are not. Are they tiled?
They're
or
tiled.
they're
tiled, but I designed the tile and drew it on the computer, then order them in numbers and lay it out like that.
Nice.
It's work, but it's, when you travel from home, they used to say home away from home. So I never understood what that meant, because you don't want to leave your house in Panchsheel Park and reach somewhere and say, bilkul ghar jaisa hi lag raha hai, फिर फायदा जाने का क्या हुआ ना? So you have to see, ये तो देखा ही नहीं है पहले कभी, Why would you go and stay in an ice hotel or whatever? So I think Nimranas are as far away as they can be from your home. I think it's important also in life to think differently. I have a Marwari friend who went for this wedding for this big jewel. You can see the pictures, and my stories are not connected to the pictures, but this is Patiala. If you see the before and after, this was the archives, and Amrinder Singh was the CM, was born here, but today it looks like that. And we've had, I don't know how many shootings here. Razi the film? Yes, was shot here, and there was, I don't know, which are the other films? There's so many films. I'm not much of a film buff. And this is how they block the most beautiful arches. Look at this. So why would you do this to that building? So the idea of restoration is to make it as it was, and then make it better than it was. Because
so do you have historians and special restoration people working with you, conservationists, or
nobody?
You just work with local people and get this done?
I do everything ourselves. Sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
No, because I think it's very heavily common sense based also. Look at this now. The rooms are 30 feet high. So a Japanese cave is looking up, like it was the Eiffel Tower. He said, we could have 4 floors in this. I said, so we've got very high furniture. And he said, he was saying to me, how do I get into it? So I said, you run and you jump on it, So he had no sense of humor. So he was doing like this, but he was not happy. But we've got steps now. We've got 3 steps. You can go on the bed. Then one day a man said, अगर हम पलंग से गिर जाएं तब क्या होगा? तो I said, आप कितनी बार गिरे हैं पलंग से? He said, कभी नहीं. तो I said, फिर यहाँ क्यों आए कि यहाँ क्यों गिरेंगे आप? This is that same room, So there was white ants, and it was a mess. Patiala, it's a beautiful place. You know, you should travel to these places. You know, आप लोग सिंगापुर चले जाते हैं. There you feel गरीब with your currency, but here you'll feel rich. This is bang on the sea, a building which is not allowed to be made anymore because of the CRZ. This was that building. So इसकी तरफ से कोई देखेगा ही नहीं, जैसे इसको तोड़ दो, इसका मॉल बना दो. But if you look at it, it's the same structure. And the joke about this is that the day it got ready and the guests were to come the next day, the tsunami happened. And it happened exactly here. And I was there, I woke up at 6, I had to catch a flight, I left, it happened at 7. And the sea went back 7 kilometers, hit the wall, went through the whole place, and nothing happened to the building because it's 400 years old, this building. See how close it is to the sea. This is in Gwalior. Gwalior is a fabulous destination. People always wait for something to become. अब गोवा सब गोवा ही चल पड़े, गोवा ही जा रहे हैं और कहने जा रहे हैं. इस बार nowadays there are 65 flights per day to Srinagar. You know, I mean, you know, Gwalior is right here. You sit in your car, you reach there. There are fabulous things to see, fabulous place to stay. But somebody has to have an idea. There has to be a trendsetter in your group. No, one lady will say, "Chalo Gwalior chale," and then you'll land up there. This is up in the hills. So there, because we don't like to build necessarily, we've taken different houses. This is my house there, which I've also made into a hotel.
This is on way to Nainital and everything.
It's, yes, it's 19 kilometers from Nainital.
Yeah.
But Nainital has become like Chandni Chowk now, you know. So if you want to escape Nainital, then you can go to Ramgarh.
Wow.
Because basically you want to have a relationship with yourself, the sky, the grass. This is in Kunur.
Beautiful.
With beautiful, terrace.
I'm going to the Kunur one.
This is the latest project, and I recommend that you have your meeting over there. This is an enormous. Tijara is a Jain pilgrimage. यहाँ कोई Jain लोग तो होंगे जरूर. You've been to
सारे Jains हैं.
अच्छा. तो हमने एक जैन रेस्टोरेंट भी बनाया था वहाँ पर, वो बिल्कुल नहीं चला क्योंकि वहाँ जैन ही आते हैं, वो कहते हैं मम्मी पापा अंदर है, हमको चिकन खिला दो बाहर. So this is how it was. अगर आप गए हैं तिजारा, then you will. It's a very splendid palace. And it's got fabulous gardens. And I work like this, you know, because you know you know what you want to build. You explain it to the masons. They are so clever.
Wow, unbelievable.
So it has a 100-foot pool, which is really amazing. So if somebody wants to do something very trendy in summer, you should have a towel party, where the ladies are allowed 2 towels and the gents are allowed 1 towel. I've been planning it, but nobody is game for this, you know.
So there is a Gaurav Mahal at the Jara Palace as well.
Yes.
Because he's asked quite a few amazing. I think Angelina Menon
Yes,
painted something on the walls of the Jara. Like
No,
all
every
the artists
room
and
is done by
designers of
one
this
artist or
country.
designer or somebody.
So
I want
everyone
you-
has
I want you to
one
see
room
this
named
picture.
after them.
इसके right में आपको एक आला दिख रहा है दीवार में. See, this is the same place.
Wow.
So it's a lot of work, but you know, the joy is in doing the work. So this was Mardana Mahal. Where did you stay when you went? You stayed or you just went? एक रानी महल है, एक मर्दाना महल है. आप रानी में ठहरे थे. अच्छा, तो ये मर्दाना महल है. इसके भी हाँ, हमने वहाँ पर एक गार्डन बुलाया. मेड अ गार्डन कॉल प्रेम रोग, बिकॉज उसमें सारे पेड़ हैं जो उनका किसी से प्यार हो रहा है. एक बड़ का खजूर के साथ या पीपल का, तो कुछ वो मर भी गए क्योंकि बहुत ज़्यादा प्रेम करने से यही होता है. ये था वो तिजारा. इतने बड़े खंडर को कौन करेगा, ठीक है ना. Now we made a Zen garden in which you walk in 8s, you know, ये 8 हाथ दिख रहे हैं आपको जो, and that is it's supposed to be healing for the. So this is the end of the lecture, I think, or almost the end of it. That's your floor. So Gaurav Mahal, when you come out of Gaurav Mahal, you can see this floor from the top. It's on the first
come up
floor.
and do my mahal
Yeah,
more,
but
I know.
if you go there, you will see ये Gaurav ने क्या करा है, because it's काफी ठीक अभी complete नहीं करा है.
Okay.
We made a fantastic.
Sculpture outside is still nice.
That's very nice. People mainly see that, you know. Yeah, achha, sorry. You were saying Anjali Menon has made a 30-foot long fresco on the wall, which you can see.
Angelina Menon is one of the most prolific artists of this country, and I think many other artists and all designers have
Amrita
worked with
Shetty
him
Mahal.
and do just
each
do
one
things.
is done by somebody. Laila Tayyab ji, who started Dastakar.
Yeah.
ये हमने सारी पुरानी प्लेटें लेकर जो चिप हो गई उनको चिपकाकर एक आम का पेड़ बनाए हैं. That's it. Thank you.
Amazing. Fantastic. We have some more time, right? Yeah? Okay. So,
You know, smaller places take less. But you know, if I was to wait to complete something, then it would never happen, you know. So what we do is, when we have a large property like Tijara, we restored the Rani Mahal, which has got 22 rooms, and we threw it open because it's 8 acres of fort and palace. And then we have people carving jalis and working and so on. So people come and they go into the area where the work is going on, because they are interested in seeing कि ये कमरा ऐसे बन सकता है, and then they say कि अगली बार हम यहाँ ठहरेंगे. So we are able to fund it. So I've never taken a loan in my life, and therefore sleep anywhere with anybody. Yes. And so the way to do it is not to try and impress the whole world. You know, people say, मैंने तो 400 करोड़ खर्च करके होटल बनाया, कोई आ ही नहीं रहा. तो क्यों बनाया आपने? You know, because you have to have some vision. आप क्या बनाना चाह रहे हो, किसके लिए बनाना चाह रहे हो? So here it is history. You stay in Case Slowly, the walls are 700 years old. So how many generations of people have stayed there? How many Ranis, how many intrigues, how many wars? So people in India enjoy that because we have a civilizational strength and we have a racial memory of history. So our hotels do very well naturally.
Why did you take a conscious decision to keep the pricing of all your hotels at a very reasonable level?
I think that Henry Ford said this. He said, it's not how little you give for a dollar, it's how much you give for a dollar that makes your business successful. So when we opened Neem Rana, you know, it was many years ago, in 1991. So people used to say, "Aapke kamre bahut saste hain," but then you can stay for 1 week, you know, because you can afford to stay there. अगर आपको हम बोलेंगे कि एक कमरा 40,000 रुपए का है, तो आप बहुत सोचोगे आने से
पे
पहले.
सबके बच्चे उतना स्पेंड करते हैं.
तो उनको डांट भी पड़ती है ना कि तुम
कभी-कभी, बहुत ही कभी-कभी.
No, but they're reasonable, you know. You would spend that kind of money in a normal place, but if you make an extraordinary place, no, it's the experience you carry back. When you do a trip, you come back. I have a very visual memory. You keep 4 or 5 slides of the whole trip, you know, which are the most memorable things that you do. You can't keep the whole of your life as a film in your head, you know. It'll be full of roughage. So those 4 or 5 pictures, I would say that more pictures are made in our hotels than in any other hotel.
Wow.
Everywhere I go, people are just clicking and clicking. I mean, of course, selfies is one bimari, but that's, but even photographing each other, you know.
Yeah.
I wondered who sees these pictures that they make, but they make them because they want to record it.
So basically, I think what has been really amazing about Neem Rana is also the fact that it has made living in palaces, it's also egalitarian for me. I think there's an egalitarianism to it, which is like where people from a middle class and upper middle class or people with even lesser means sometimes are able to experience luxury and living in a palace from all over the country, which is India, where you know there's so much economic disparities, etc.
True.
So everyone is able to get a piece of luxury and belong to to the palaces where historically only the kings were living.
We had 21 prices for our hotel. So then travel agent said, "Ye to bahut musibat hai." You know, I mean, you know, if you wanted to spend, we had a tiny room which was a store. You know, it's become.
So you did not there's no standardization basically.
There is no standardization, but to have 21 prices in a hotel is insane. Now on the computer, we've had to kind of make groups, you know. But I'll tell you a fun story if I might.
Yeah.
So once we had a French group, and they, you know, when you travel in a group, you go to a branded hotel room 212, 212, and everybody pays the same price. So they'd all paid the same price, and they arrived there, and then that tour operator said, "You know, I'm going to get into real trouble because some rooms are as big as this, and some are like little coteries, you know. So they'll come and fight with me." I said, "No, we'll solve the problem." So I speak French. So what I did was I said, we put all the names of the rooms in a hat. And I wear a hat because I don't have hair in this. So I put them in the hat, and we said, "Everybody come and draw. It's your thing, you know." So
lucky draw.
Lucky draw. And then they said, "Well, what is this?" I said, "No, you see, India is the land of karma. This is your karma. If you've got good karma, you're going to get a big room. If you've got a bad karma, then you get a small room, and you can't blame anybody for the karma. It's your karma." So they went to their rooms, and you know, they came back saying, "But my room is so big, you could come to my room." You know? and it became such a game that the ones who were in small rooms said, "No, I feel very cozy and good." They had to all defend their karma, and they were all happy and wonderful.
It reminds me of Amir Khan when he made villagers fight with or play games with each other, and that's when that competitive spirit is when they solve situations in the villages. So it's bright people, you know, visionaries think alike. You had petitioned against Section 377 in the Supreme Court, and you have lived an open book life with utmost dignity as an openly gay man. How was that journey? And why did you petition? You could have gone to jail for it.
You know, why would anybody put me in jail? I believe that we are all born the way we are born, and everybody's chemistry is different from the other person, or some people's chemistry is different from the other people. So if you feel good about living some way, that's how you should live. And if you like, you know, there are different kinds of people. There are people who like cats, okay, and then they don't like dogs. So you can't make a dog lover into a cat lover, or a cat lover into a dog lover. They say that dog lovers are better than cat lovers because cats are mean and nasty, and you know. So I hope there are less cat lovers here. But so, you know, who you like, or what is your chemistry about. If your body tells you you feel good with so and so, you can't be bullied into saying you have to feel good with that so and so. So in our country, before we were colonized, we are a very, very civilized country, ancient and very wise. So what happens to a transgender? A hijra is not looked at with any derision. You know, you on the most auspicious occasion, you hand over your, you know, your son, your daughter to a hijra. But in other countries, they're sort of marginalized. So if you are talking about gaiety, I'll give you a very interesting example. You've heard about the temple of Sabarimala in Kerala, which there's a lot of fight about. So who is that temple to? Does anybody know? Okay. That temple is, the deity is the son of Shiva and Vishnu. So how does Shiva and Vishnu make a child? So what happens is, now you'll connect the story because you must have heard parts of it. At one point, Shiva is doing meditation, and these are all Puranas, so you know they're man ghadit kathaएं, but when you make a story, what is the story behind it? The story behind, as I read it, I'll tell you the story first. So Shiva is doing meditation and just not coming out of it. So they say, how do we seduce him to come out of it? So Vishnu says that I will become Mohini, the most beautiful woman, and I will seduce Shiva. So she becomes Mohini, and Shiva gets seduced and he makes love to her, so she has a baby, and that is Sabarimalai. So why would a civilization invent a baby with two men loving each other? Or, you know, because it's not news that, you know, that you can't fall in love with a man or a woman can't fall in love with a woman, but other people had kept it under covers. In Islam, they cut your head or cut your private part. It's not your business, you know. It's a private business between people. Whoever you like, you must like, and you must not be ashamed of liking that. There are married people
I know that, but what is really impressive about you is that in your, how old are you, sorry?
I'm going to be 72.
Okay, fantastic. So he's going to be 72 right now. So imagine in that time and age, today being gay is cool in school actually. Today being lesbian, or today there's somebody who's like pansexual, or there are like 51 new genders actually in the next generation, where people are like, okay, I am cis man, straight, but I'm attracted to this kind of person. So it's or I'm non-binary, or I'm trans male, or I'm trans female.
Or I'm bisexual.
So today there is a bisexual, or there are many multiple definitions, and it's overtly accepted, in fact, and it's celebrated in the next generation. But in your time and age, I know men and women who have had to suffer and go through marriages and come into societal norms. And how was that journey for you? And how did you brave that, and how did you fight it?
I've never had to fight it. I've always been myself, and whatever I've done with conviction. But the idea is not to become ridiculous, you know.
Yeah.
If you see people, gay people who you know,
that becomes them. It's their identity, which is not.
They
the
feel
case
like
with
that,
you.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't feel I have a woman's body trapped inside a man.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm a man.
Yeah.
I was a gymnast. I was an athlete. I would come first in the races. So Alexander the Great was gay.
Yeah.
He at the age of 32 had conquered half the world. But he said, I prefer, you know, my male soldiers than to a wife. So, I mean, it's a choice. It's not even a choice. It's how you're made. So people have to understand that. And people who are not made like that.
But what I find completely commendable about you is the fact that you did it with dignity, with openness, through that time and age. And he's one of the only 5 people who petitioned on paper against Section 377 in the Supreme Court, which was a big victory for the whole queer community and the LGBT community from India and for all over the world. So
it was for me not a big thing, you know. Somebody phoned me, I think Ritu Dalmia phoned me and said, you know, we're looking from somebody from the corporate world to put their name to this. We've asked so and so and so and so, you know, we've had a president, we've had the big corporate heads. There's so many people, it's known that they are, you know, they have a different sexual preference. So with you, I said, of course. They said, you agreed immediately. We wanted to come and see you. I said, don't have to come and see me. So when that petition won in the court, I was surprised. I got so many mails from Latin America and idhar-udhar, you know, to say, you're a fantastic guy. I said, I'm not fantastic, you know. I just believe that everybody has a right to do what they want.
Exactly.
And nobody has a business, you know. And in India, it was that.
So you have a daughter called Adya, who I've met, who's super sweet, and you just told me that you're more like a grandparent age to her than a dad age to her. How is it being a parent at this age? And how old is she?
She's 21 now. Actually, I was gifted a daughter because I like the mountains. I walked to Mount Kailash, I walked to, you know, many places. I like walking 300 kilometers and so on. And people call me a mountain goat because I actually don't get breathless. I enjoy the mountains, you know. And I don't believe in God. That's another subject we can talk about.
Yes.
But I believe in in nature, in the cosmos, in the system, you know, in the power that runs it. But I don't believe that man has the audacity to make, you know, when you talk about God, God is that thing, you know. And you say, मैंने 100 फुट ऊंचा मंदिर बना दिया. You know, 100 फुट के अंदर आप वो सारे ब्रह्मांड को घुसाना चाह रहे हो और आप सोच रहे हो I'm a great guy. I'm not in favor of that.
Yeah, I'm also not in favor of the Freudian philosophy around God is that man wanted a permanent parent figure in their lives because so that somebody can just guide them as a figure which they're able to look
But
into.
we're educated
But
people, we should all guide ourselves.
We guide ourselves, but I feel like God is that positive energy which is around in the cosmos, and it is given beautiful names, and I do like some of the cultures that the religions have brought in.
No, in
or
the Middle
taken
Ages
away.
it was necessary because
Yes.
it told people, ye karna, ye nahi karna. But now, after you do do all the pujas and all this, how many married men have girlfriends? So
Yeah.
where is their God? And where were all the gods when
Maybe they find the God in the girlfriend.
They do, but of course they do. Of course they do. But that's not the God we are talking about, You know, yeah, that's.
So you were awarded a very prestigious award by the French government. Why was that and how?
Now what happened was that in 2010, they wrote to me to say that we want to give you the Padma Shri. So as I started by saying, I said, one little billah here on my chair. I said, I don't want the Padma Shri. So they said, but it's so. I said, but it's not anything, because we must know our size in the cosmos, and then we must know the size of all that. So I refused to get it. So they said, okay, But then 5 years later, or 6 years later, I heard from the French president to say that we want to give you the Légion d'Honneur, which is considered to be the highest civilian award and the most famous one in the world. So I also said, I thought to myself, I've said no to the Indians, now I'm going to say yes to the French, it won't sound good.
Very French of you.
It's not French, I said no to them
Okay,
also.
okay.
So the French ambassador then said to me that, you speak French, you're Francophone, the French president is coming and I want to have a function, so I don't know what to do. So he will pin it on your chest, because normally you get it from the ambassador or from a minister, but because Macron was coming, I think in 2018, so please accept it. So I said, okay, because I said my fight is, also because the government troubles you so much, every department troubles you and so on. I said, the whole day you trouble you, the person in the evening you say, have a lollipop, now you're getting an award. So I said, I don't want an award, I mean, I had that grouse. So Pratibha Patil was the president and Manmohan Singh was the prime minister, and the moment passed. But then they phoned to say that the president was coming for 4 days, that French president, then he was coming for 3 days, then he was coming for 2 days. Then he said, I'm really sorry, but we can't have that function because he's only meeting Mr. Modi for a solar energy conference. He has to fly to Singapore. So I had accepted it on paper, and so I had to get it.
Oh,
but then I didn't get it, because then I said, thank God he's not coming, I didn't get it. 5 years later, another ambassador phoned me, on the top of my list, I have to give you this. So, awards are of no importance. I'm not sitting here because I got the award. I'm sitting here because, we are all wonderful people. And if you were sitting here, Rakhi ji, you would have your story to tell,
He totally feels she looks like Rakhi. We both agree to that.
I know.
Okay. So, okay, and you are writing a book on Shiva.
Yes.
And I have seen very interesting paintings of Shiva, which are different avatars or different ways that he's been portrayed, which I have never seen, even though I come from a very religious family from my mom's side. And and I've been exposed, I think we are more Krishna people, I think,
so there are only 3 kinds of people, You can be Vaishnav, Shaiv, or Shakt, which is the Devi Bhakt. And I'm the 4th, which is I'm a reverent atheist, I believe kisi ko
I'm
puja
the same.
karni karo.
I totally resonate with that. But I'm saying, why are you writing a book on Shiva then?
No, because of all the gods that I know, or because I've read a lot, I can talk about comparative religions and all that. I'm just fascinated by Shiva's personality,
So tell us a naughty story about Shiva.
Oh, he's a naughty boy, actually, he is, yes. No. So, when you say Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, he's the Trinity, he's up there in the center, of worship. There's 3 out of 84 lakh Bhagwan, Devi, Devta is good running. But then he can be in the next minute, he's in the lives in the Shamshan Ghat and can put ash on his body. So I relate with that, you know. I relate with, you know, that you can be this and you can be that.
Existential
And then you
infinity to him.
Yes, and also I like the idea that he's half man, half woman. Because all the women have some man in them. There was a lady who introduced herself today, one of the new members, and I said, she forgot to say at the end, I wear the pants in the family.
Okay.
You know?
No, but the thing is, it's not, but I feel like it's, I think today, especially, the lines between genders and definitions around what is masculinity and femininity is totally blurring. And Shiva is a fantastic example of that, because he is a very masculine figure.
Yes.
But his understanding is of Ardhanareshwar.
No, can I tell you 2 short stories, because you'll forget all this bunkam, you know. I was at Chennai airport, and there was a large Tamilian man. He was carrying a baby, almost like a newborn, of some months-old baby, all by himself. And that baby was not crying, but screaming and howling, and the pitch was so high that, you know, the whole, even somebody sitting 100 meters away was saying, oh God, when will this child shut up? You know, because really, it was at
those annoying babies and flights.
So then that poor man was, you know, trying to do this. He couldn't gag the baby. So you know what he did? He opened 2 buttons and he put his nipple in that baby's mouth. And the baby kept quiet, you know.
Wow.
And everybody looked and everybody clapped, actually.
Wow.
You know,
in Chennai airport, how progressive.
Chennai airport, you know. So actually, mother as father, father as mother. There are many roles you can.
That's true.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
And
so
can I tell one more story?
Okay, this is the last one. And
the
then
last story.
I think it's time now.
I think you said
we can
it's time.
actually do question answers after this if we want to. Yeah,
No,
let's start the...
No, it's on the Shiva story also.
Okay.
It's on Shiva and Vishnu. So there's one, there are 69 Nayanmars who are the great worshippers of Shiva. Because in the 9th century, they decided that everybody has to do a campaign. Like you say, drink Coca-Cola, drink Campa-Cola, drink Pepsi, you know. So it's a brand war in gods, you know. So if everybody goes to a Vishnu temple, then the poor Shiva priests are waiting, they're getting no dakshina. So they did a whole campaign after in the time of Shankaracharya. So the Vishnu Puran says if you worship Shiva, you go to hell. And the Shiva Puran says if you worship Vishnu, you go to hell, okay? So this is, you know, it's really, that's why I call it brand war. So they start making devotees. So the Shiva Babais make 69 people who are special to Shaivism. So each one is a story. They said such and such was a Chut lady. She sat outside. She couldn't enter the temple. She used to make flowers and with so much devotion. And one day Shiva said, oh, these flowers come from this woman. I want to meet her. So he called her inside. So then they got a lot of following of one kind. Okay, but there's one very special person. There, when you see a Shiva painting of Tanjore, there are 4 special Shiva devotees on top, you know. So one is Vyagrapad, one is Bringi, one is whatever. So Bringi is the story I want to tell you, and you remember that. So Bringi is a man who worships Shiva and not Parvati. And he worships only Shiva and Shiva and Shiva. So Parvati gets very angry, and she says, I am an integral part of the Lord, and if you don't worship me, I curse you that you will die of hunger. So the poor man starts to lose weight and all his ribs come out, and then he's kind of wobbly on his feet, and Shiva is meditating in Kailash, you see. So he prays to Shiva and says, what have I done wrong that I worship you and only you? And look at the power of your wife, she's reduced me to bones. So Shiva wakes up, you know, and says, no, you will never fall. Here is a 3rd leg. So he gives him a 3rd leg. So Bringi has 3 legs. And he says, you will never fall. And wherever I'm worshipped, you will be worshipped with me. So what he did was, the main story was this, that so Bringi then says, I will not worship you. So he becomes a bee. And he goes through the chest of Ardhanareshwar, and the left is Parvati. So he does parikramas of the right part as a makhi, you know. So then she gets angry and curses him. So these are wonderful stories. You can't really believe in these, you know what I mean? So if you believe in them, and
I
if
believe
they,
in them. I
if
think they're so
if they make
beautiful.
you feel good, you must believe, which is why I say I'm a reverent atheist. I can go to a mandir and I can go to a church and say, hey, Herr Gregorian, but I can't believe in it. That
I understand. Religion killed a lot of art as well, because actually if you go to an ancient museum, but I went to the most ancient museum in Italy, I remember that, and I was only seeing paintings and sculptures on Christ and the Last Supper and things like that.
How many people they've killed?
And how many people they've killed around that, and anybody who had a voice against that, okay, I'm painting a flower, they'll be killed. So in the sense of course, we've come a long way in culture. So I do resonate with that.
Okay, now time
I hope
was
that
up.
was not, thank you everyone for listening. Any questions? Or anybody wants to ask something? Yes.
You want the mic?
Yeah, look at his voice.
We can hear.
Yeah.
I'm just absolutely delighted with the knowledge that you have about history and the culture. I had a premeditated question before I walked into the meeting, but while driving down, I happened to pass the Safdarjung tomb, and my wife commented that this is very well lit. I mean, what's the occasion? Is there any occasion in which there is so much of lighting? So my question arose, why are these tombs so adorable? Why are they like a heritage site? Why are they so attracted? Why it's like a tourist spot where it's advertised to come and visit? Whereas today the culture is changing quite a bit. You know, Aurangzeb Road has been converted to Abdul Kalam Road, and maybe certain things are changing. But now about a tomb, it's almost like a cemetery. You know, I would say it's a cemetery. Even the Taj is a cemetery, and it's the most beautiful thing to happen in the world.
I've got your question.
Yeah, so that's the question, why? Why are we so fond of it and it's been advertised? And the second question was, like, you've got the eye of the tiger. Eye of the tiger in the sense that you can spot the ruins which have got value to it, which can be converted into something like a luxury that you convert. Now, this was a country of princely states, and I don't know how many princely states you handled out of the 500 odd. I know you must have listed most of them. I'm sure there will be some property which you're eyeing on. If you could let us know the secret.
There are hundreds of them, you know.
Yeah.
And all these properties
Have had life and rajas and ranis
Wants to
and
catch the
darbars.
next property before you. Is
Are you
what he's
a
saying.
developer? Oh, become? We can join hands. We'll talk over dinner. But the first question that you're asking, if you knew about Safdarjung tomb, you'd be even more unhappy, because he was the prime minister of the later Mughals, and he said कि मेरे मरने के बाद मेरा तो कोई मकबरा बनाएगा नहीं. तो मैं क्या, because they had not so much money at that point, you know, they had gone down and their coffers were empty. So he builds it in his lifetime, which nobody does. So he built it, and then he ran short of money. So he said वो खाना tomb से सारा marble उतार कर उसकी dome से उसने अपने पर लगा दिया, you know. So now when they were restoring the Khana tomb, you know, this Aga Khan Foundation, this current government has put their foot down, you know. They think पहले तो आप हमारे मंदिर तोड़ते हो, फिर आप उसके ऊपर कुछ और बना देते हो, फिर उसको आप सोना चांदी चढ़ाकर उसको और ठीक कर रहे हो. So this is like layering and layering and layering over history. So if you read history and knew that in 1 year of 1632, Aurangzeb knocked down 1,200 temples. So, you know, and Twin Towers are knocked down in America, and the whole world is shaking. And so if you had, you know, these were temples like Konark, you know, like 150-foot high temples, because you know from the size of the god, what is the proportion of the shikhar. So, जो आदमी ने 12,000 मंदिर आपके तोड़े हैं, आप कह रहे हैं उसके नाम की एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट सड़क बना दे. तो it's not BJP or this or a Hindu, it's 80% of people are of one religion in this world, and they're just accepting everything. Ek chaped yahan laga do, ek aur laga do, ek aur laga do. So there is a change now, and there should be a change, because we have to gang together and say what is right. So either we are all special or we are all equal. We can't say we are giving money for Hajj, but we are not giving money to go to AMAN NATH Yatra. So these kind of questions are being asked now. I think we are getting into a different debate, but your question was different too.
On and on and on.
Yeah, I think he wants to say something, sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So we had actually two legends sitting on the dais, and we got a glimpse of the personality of Aman. Maybe 2 minutes to you.
I think it belongs to me. I belong to you. You can get me anytime.
Yeah.
Okay. Today's Aman's night.
But he is an icon in the world. We talk about fashion one day, but that will be only when the ladies are there.
And are very fashionable these days. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was such a riveting conversation between two illustrious people, fashion icon GAURAV GUPTA and the legendary Shri AMAN NATH. Members listened in rapt attention, and the lively question answer, though not much were asked, because I think he covered everything.
Had questions in
Yeah,
between
so
also,
it was in
because
between, yeah. And everyone enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. A big clap. Can I ask our district governor to please come and participate because you also come, you should always be here.
Not anybody's feelings, if you're religious, as I said,
it's just me, just having a chat.
रीना आपको बना दो ना कैसे
वही सब historian ना, so it goes into different. It goes something else.
Honor that you graced the evening today.
AMAN Gupta of Southeast for hosting District Interact Leadership Assembly in a very, very excellent manner. I still remember I was in the brainstorming session where they had asked me that their club should be given an opportunity, and the way this program was conducted and organized and hosted, I believe this was one of the finest events that we had in last several years as far as DILA is concerned. And the best part was that 900 students were given the water sipper that happened for the first time. Congratulations and thank you very much.
Vote of thanks. It felt odd calling him like that. He's my husband.
Good evening, friends. I don't think a vote of thanks is necessary for people who we believe are our own. GAURAV Gupta is a son of the soil that we say, Southeast. President Arun and Binaji's son. We are thrilled to see him achieve new heights every second month we hear. He's achieved something more at Cannes or with Aishwarya Rai or something top. We are delighted with his presence every now and then. Aman Nath ji was absolutely fascinating. He spoke from his heart. You know, a picture can speak more than 1,000 words. Whatever he spoke was exemplified further with the beautiful pictures of then and now. And it really has been an eye-opener for us how one man can be a crusader in this way, with 27 Nimranas and written 18 books, and the count is still on. Ramesh Gupta ji, past president Ramesh Gupta ji, mentioned he would like to be an investor in the next Nimrana hotel. Also, a very sensitive subject was handled very maturely, and indeed we felt honored by their presence. Just a quick word for our district governor Ashok Kantur, who is present with us today. He has come under trying circumstances. He has to go for another meeting. Our first lady of the district, Alka Kantur ji, is not well. She is suffering from some ailment which we pray she recovers quickly from. We thank you, sir, for coming here and gracing the occasion. Our very own district governor nominee Mahesh Trikha, who we take for granted. Thank you, Mahesh, for being here today. And indeed past district governor Sanjay Khanna, who is sitting in the last row. One word must be said for the two presidents who made this possible, Arun Gupta and Arun Bhutani. Perhaps the name Arun seems to be the highlight of the evening. Thank you, both of you, for putting this meeting together. The district governor mentioned at the start of the year he would like the bigger clubs to call the not so big clubs together to have worthwhile meetings. This has been a great performance here by two clubs of Zone 6, not to mention Assistant Governor Narendra Lamba sitting there, who was instrumental in getting this meeting together. Friends, I've already exceeded my time. Aware of your patience, I say goodbye. Thank you very much for lending me your ears. And 3 cheers for our 2 reverend guest speakers, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Before I adjourn the meeting, I would like to thank Mr. Arun Bhutani, President of Rotary Club of Manthan, and Seema Bhutani for co-hosting today's speaker meeting.
She couldn't join us because
she hasn't joined?
No, my son was there from US, and so he was just traveling from
anyway,
airport from one of these hotels.
Doesn't matter. You just why probably traffic or something. You just got in late.
I got little.
Yeah, it's nice to have members from Rotary Club of Manthan here to join us in this meeting, and we look forward to more such occasions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
District Governor, please honor Gaurav Gupta, Mr. Gaurav Gupta. So all good things come to an end? No, Mr. Arun Gupta wants to say something. Yeah, okay.
I think we all had a lovely session, and I don't need to say anything more once vote of thanks has been given by somebody as capable and as versatile as Sanjeev. So meeting for the day is adjourned.
Congratulations and celebrations when I tell everyone that you're in love with me. Congratulations and jubilations. I want the world to know I'm happy as can be. Who would believe that I could be happy and contented? I used to think that happiness hadn't been invented, but that was in the bad old days before I met you. When I let you walk into my heart. Congratulations and celebrations when I tell everyone that you're in love with me. Congratulations and jubilations. I want the world to know I'm happy as can be. I was afraid that maybe you thought you were above me, that I was only fooling myself to think you'd love me. But then tonight you said you couldn't live without me. Then round about me you wanted to stay. Congratulations